If you were older than 20 years old, where were you 20 years ago? Maybe a better question is if you're older than 30, 25 or 30, because otherwise it might be hard to remember or recall what life was like for you then. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a piece of that with you guys today. And we're going to talk specifically about my biggest fear. I probably had many fears, but I think my biggest fear 20 years ago. So if you're catching this on YouTube, hey, and welcome. I hope you hit like and subscribe and even maybe the little notification bell so that you are sure to get notified whenever I'm live on here. But it's great to see you guys. And this is a topic I just wanted to share with you today from my heart as someone who has been walking a healing journey most of my life, which is true for a lot of us, honestly, everyone. I mean, really, if you think about it, you're always on a path to better healing and understanding your body and listening to your body and all that stuff, but it looks different for everyone. And I really feel like I haven't been like my healthiest self since before, well before actually my Lyme diagnosis, which came years after my actual Lyme infection. So that makes it really tricky in my own life, but not impossible to heal. And that's one of the big messages in my whole healing journey is just because it takes time doesn't mean it's impossible or hopeless. So let me get down to business. My biggest fear 20 years ago was actually, let me paint a picture of the time frame. 20 years ago, I'm not going to lie about my age. I am 35. So 20 years ago, I was 15. And it kind of just dawned on me this year. And I was like, because last year, in January of last year, I think I did a video about my biggest fears 10 years ago. And this year, this January, I was the notes from that popped up on my computer. And I was like, huh, where was I even 20 years ago? Oh my word. That was right around, I think right before I got my Lyme diagnosis. I think I was just about to have that diagnosis like officially given to me. After having spent the last 2 years trying to figure my health out as a young teenager who had declining health for no reason. Like I was an athlete and involved, and my brain was like highly functional. I was, doing well in school, smart, like active, and I went, none of that anymore. And no ability to like pull myself out of it. It was really a horrible funk to be in. Makes sense now, right? With Lyme. But it was my sophomore year of high school. So I would that was when I was 15 turning 16. My birthday is in the middle of the school year. That I got my diagnosis because I remember being in treatment that year. That's the only way I remember it is like based on how I felt and like what was going on in my world around me. Isn't that funny? Because it's kind of like a black hole. Thankful to Lyme for that one, like a lot of black holes in my treatment. But as it comes back to me, I like to reminisce. And this is one way I do that. And this one I thought was worth sharing with you all because that was the stage in life I was at, having to kind of give up my whole teenage life. Until that point, I was only like partway through my teenage years. And I kind of had to stop everything and just focus on what I had to do to survive and to like get through school, basically. So it was a weird place to be because around that age, you're starting to think about driving and like career a little bit. You're in high school. What does your future hold? Like you're starting to dream big and big and big and bigger and bigger as the years go on. And it was not my reality to really even have the energy to focus on that. It was hard to even dream or hope for anything because I felt so crummy. But what is to my benefit about that age for me was yeah, I was smart. Like I was a knowledgeable kid, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So I didn't have full on hopelessness set in yet because I was just a kid. And so I'm thinking, like, there's got to be an answer, right? That leads me to my biggest fear. Okay, now that I've painted the picture and given you a little tidbit of what was kind of going through my mind, my biggest fear, if I really am honest with myself, was the fear of the unknown. I wanted what every other teenager had and felt like I couldn't quite have it. I could literally physically couldn't handle it mentally, physically, emotionally, and I didn't know why. And my personality type likes knowledge, likes to know things and understand things, and I couldn't understand this or know it, and no one else seemed fully capable of that either. But through the blessing of some really good medical professionals around me, I was able to get pieces of the puzzle put together, little pieces here and there that kind of maybe didn't explain the full picture of my health, but got me one baby step further every time, one baby step to healing, or one baby step to an answer, or one iota of like an inkling of help, you know? And that was why my hope was able to continue to exist. The small seed of hope that there was more still in store for me. This was just a major bump in the road that was able to be there. And, I don't know if I would have felt the same hope in the midst of fear now, like as a full blown adult. And I'm grateful that I was able to have that teenage childlike spirit of hope about myself, and about my future at that time in my life, because that really is truly what carried me. Here's the thing, a good friend of mine, shout out to Lauren De Silva, points out in a lot of her trainings that fear isn't something to be like avoided and dismissed from our lives, because fears and worries are going to be there. They're going to crop up. It's a natural response to things that are uncertain or scary. Like if it weren't for fear, you wouldn't run from a bear chasing you or whatever. You know what I mean? A fearful response is good to a degree. But letting fear drive us in our decision making beyond life or death, like save your life stuff, can be problematic, can be stressful, and can actually be not a healing response. In other words, create dis-ease and a lack of healing in our environment, in our world, in ourselves. So it's about the coexisting of fear and hope, or fear and a positive circumstance, situation, emotion, whatever, to pull you through. Because you can't necessarily ditch the fear altogether sometimes. It was scary to not have answers, to not have a clear direction with my life, and to not know what was going on with me and why my body, mind, spirit, emotions, everything were failing me. I couldn't, as a child, wrap my head around that fully, but I could sit with the fear and allow the seed of hope to coexist with it through the years that were going to lie ahead of me. If I knew the journey that lay ahead of me, I don't know if I could have carried that burden or carried that truth gracefully or fully or effectively or at all. But it wasn't about the absence of fear for me, but more about moving through it, like I said, with that shred of hope riding its tail. um, and it was about not letting the fear itself stop me, stall me out, or rob me of my life and my healing right, my right to pursue healing. And that is why carrying hope together with the fear was really the healing game changer for me in that moment 20 years ago, the moment of that year. Because it really is just a moment in time, that whole experience. And it was the catapult forward, even though it wasn't the exact answer I needed to heal right then. It has taken the last 20 years, and it's going to take more to be where I want to be. And then it's always going to be about the ebb and flow of moving healing forward. It's not a linear journey, right? It's very up and down, tons of turns and twists. It's not about the quick fix, though. It's not. No one can guarantee any healing to be a quick fix, because you never know. You may not know the whole story right now, even. I didn't then, but all it was about was the baby step forward, one step at a time, one shred of hope at a time, one answer at a time, one idea at a time to try something new, something that resonated with me, to try to move my healing forward. So it's not about having all the answers all at once. It's not about the quick fix. It's not about eliminating the fear. It's not about knowing what 20 years down the road will look like. But it is about today, what you can do to take that shred of hope that I guarantee is burning somewhere within you, find it, grab it, and just decide what's next. What little baby step needs to come next? Next thing you know, 20 years will have gone by. Where are you going to be? Who knows now, but you can take the baby step in the right direction to make it the best 20 years possible and the best outcome in 20 years possible, right? That's what we can do. Fear or no fear, right? Fear can't stop you from that. Don't let it. You have the power. All right, my friends, that's your empowerment message today and a little story from my past. I hope you loved it. If you have a similar thought or a story that resonates, share it with me. I love to hear about other people's journeys too. So pop it in the comments and I will catch you later.